All right, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is Fernando and Brad with your weekly episode of Sunset to South. Thanks so much for tuning in. Brad, what is going on, my friend?
Doing well, doing well. Had a good week. Um, I've got next Tuesday. I've got two listing photo shoots set up, so that's good. That's always a good thing. And had some folks who missed out on a property because they. One of the things, we always drop these little nuggets kind of before we get into the show, but my experience, something we've kind of been talking about a little bit. If you have a house to sell, it does make it a little challenging if it's contingent on the sale.
Mm-hmm.
So stayed up like Thursday night. I stayed up until 10 p.m. writing an offer. It was accepted Friday evening, and then I got a call Sunday. Hey, got some bad news. We got a non-contingent offer. And so it's tough to contend with that. There's some ways to navigate it, but as a listing, I represented the buyer in that one, but as a listing agent, I tend to like go, there he is, Michael Baker. What's up, man?
Hey, Michael, what's going
Perfect.
on, man?
Our confirmation that the chat is working tonight. So yeah, if you're watching, drop us a comment so we know you're there. We appreciate you tuning in. But it's just a little challenging and kind of disheartening. Like, if you have to sell your house, I think their house is going to sell quickly.
Yeah.
And so we put an offer in on something. So if the table was turned and I was the listing agent, I probably would choose to, well, I'm gonna bet on the horse that got me here. Let's take this one. They put in an offer, like we put in an offer when nobody else did. Okay, good. We happened to check right before we click live, so that's good. You know, bet on the horse that got you there, and we put an offer in when no one else did. So maybe reward that.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll navigate that. I mean, I can probably now, a trick around that is list their house and do like a 60-day close or a longer close, push the closing out and have it a reverse contingency. So it's contingent on the seller finding a suitable property.
Mm-hmm.
And do it that way. So there are some things you can do, but it's disheartening when I just try to tell people, like, if something falls through, then there's a chance there's something that we don't understand probably, but there's a chance that maybe that wasn't the house we were supposed to get. Maybe there's something better out there. And that helps me. Our jobs can be very stressful. That kind of helps me, navigate it without getting stressed over stuff like that. So how's your week been?
Pretty good. We've been kind of slow at a closing this week, but it's fine. Couple of denials here and there. Just you when things tighten up, like around everything, you kind of get these very very odd requests and just kind of different scenarios. I shouldn't say odd. I should say just more uncommon. So you just kind of have to navigate around that. I think the biggest thing is like, no one ever wants to give good news, bad news. But I feel like the sooner you give it, that's all you can really do, and be a little bit more, I guess, explanatory about it as well. So I do that a couple times this week, and it was both people are like, "Hey, I get it. I appreciate you telling me and calling me," versus like sending an email, that kind of thing. You just kind of have to you have to give people other options. And I think that one is I think the worst thing is like anxiety when it comes to like financing or like any type of answer. You just kind of want to know at some point, and you can prepare yourself the best, but you just don't know everyone, or you can prepare someone the best as you can. And some people just don't take it the right way. I'm not saying these two did, but you just I think in my experience, it's just like telling them and not delaying it. It makes you feel better about the situation. I think it makes them feel better also. But I will be teaching what's called down payment assistance classes next month. So I got that all set up. It's, if you're in the market for buying a house in any type of market, feel free to hit me up about that type of program. It's basically you're giving a certain amount of money to put down a home, and depending on credit score, it can be conventional, FHA, what have you. And I wouldn't say it's like it's free money, but it's assistance to get, first-time home buyers into a house that may not have the down payment, but they have the income, that kind of thing. There and it's just an opportunity for me to get my face in front of people. So I'm pretty happy about that. And kind
That's
of a
awesome.
personal front, a personal front. We're closing on this house tomorrow, so just kind of prepping all that. I did a couple of videos on the YouTube channel. I did kind of a synopsis on 2 stocks that I'm kind of on the lookout for that I've talked about in the past, as well as just kind of like a little fun short reel of just kind of DIY projects I'm doing around the house. Kind of want to add that to the channel as well to kind of incorporate what we're doing, as home ownership and or seeking a home. And it's just kind of a fun thing. It kind of tells a story of what's going on with my house as well. So it's kind of exciting for me. So yeah, but before we get started, I just want to say thanks for showing up. If you're watching this on the rewind, if you're watching this live, ask as many questions as you can. And please like and subscribe, all that good stuff. We are trying to do this every Wednesday and keep it consistent, all that good stuff. So I appreciate everyone coming through. And I'm gonna try and blow through my segment of the show today. And it looks like we got one of your friends in the chat there, Danielle. Thanks for joining, Danielle. Because I'm really interested about your home topics this week, and mine are kind of boring. I'll be honest.
You're being critical because I tell you every week how fascinated I am by your segment. So you're just being critical, I think. But maybe your interest in my segment is due to the fact that you guys are remodeling your house.
Yeah,
so maybe some of that comes into play a little bit.
It's a little current times, right? But no, really, I think I think it just it just really interests me in that. So we'll get going on this real quick. Let me get this share stuff going on. Okay, all right. So like Brad was saying, people, we really do appreciate everyone's kind of contributions in the chat, and it really helps us on what topics to think about. I could talk about a million things, but if you guys aren't interested in what we have to talk about, it makes the show pretty boring, what have you. And actually, I got inspiration on these topics from Brad Selden, who is a regular on my show on Sundays about comic books, and he had mentioned NFT stocks. I was like, all right, challenge accepted. So topics we're going over today are NFT stocks. If you do not know what NFT stands for, it stands for non-fungible token. And he wanted to know what stocks you could invest in, not necessarily NFTs, but NFT stocks. And so that's what we're going to look at today. Again, and always our West Coast to East Coast real estate. The tip of the day and Brad's The More You Know section, more specifically, 5 new, is it home designs, Brad, that you want to look into?
It's more it's features that I'm seeing that I like now, things that I really like in a home. So if you're buying a new home, these are features that I'm seeing that I'm a big fan of.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you want to remodel and you want to implement some of these things, I think it's just to kind of keep you in touch with what's happening out there. And you guys, in the chat, or if you're watching on Facebook, ask us questions. We want to, there's no dumb questions. So feel free to ask away, and we'll answer it to the best of our ability. And, we really appreciate you guys showing up.
Yeah.
And, Michael Baker, he's a long-standing member of our Wednesday night thing. And Danielle, who I used to call Dee Dee back in the day, we were like really good friends when I was in middle school. And we always called her Dee Dee. So we grew up in the same neighborhood. So I appreciate Danielle coming and hanging out with us tonight.
Yeah, thanks.
And now you can tell everybody at work that you were mentioned on a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Famous. Internet famous.
Shout out to Danielle from the West Coast too. There you go. You got a West Coast shout out there. All right, let's get into it. And again, I'm going to pour through these because I'm really interested in Brad's segment for sure. So kind of my inspiration. So I wanted to keep this very simple and related to how you invest. So Michael kind of hit the nail on the board here. Are NFTs still a thing? I think along with a lot of things that are quote unquote still a thing, during the pandemic, NFTs were just the craziest thing. I mean, you buy an NFT for like $10 and sell it for like 50,000. And I know it helped out a lot of artists during the pandemic to get their work out, meaning their creative work, and to make money that way as well. So it turned into like just kind of like a hobby that, people are just buying these digital assets and, putting them in their phone and showing to people. And then it turned into, whether you want to call it some type of asset growth, or some people are like attributing it to money laundering of some sort, which, I mean, there's a lot of ways you can money launder anyway. So I kind of take that with a grain of salt, but it turned into this new segment of assets you can invest in. Obviously, primarily it was, dealt with like art and whatnot. And, as of late, with the economy kind of quote unquote contracting, even though the S&P 500 is still 400 points off its all-time high, which to me is not a contraction of the economy or the stock market, what have you. NFTs have taken a really big downfall. And so I wanted to still highlight some companies that are doing it, I think, in the right way, and aren't necessarily like, again, your $4 stock that's going to jump to 400. We don't do that here. It's just too risky. It's fun to kind of speculate on that type of stuff, but these aren't comic books. These are real, assets you can invest in and take a chance on. So I don't want to give out that kind of info. With that said, I'm sure everyone knows these companies, but I wasn't sure if you all know why they're related to NFTs. Just broadly, Brad, do you have an idea of why I mentioned these three companies without reading the slides?
No, as you were talking, I was just looking, and I thought maybe you forgot to update the pictures or something, because this isn't what I was expecting.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so I'm actually really riveted right now.
Oh, cool. So I could have picked a lot of other companies. I actually thought about putting MasterCard in there, and I think if you're a current like watcher of the channel, I feel like you kind of know my brand, quote unquote, when it comes to like stocks I like to look at. I don't like to look at like first to market type of stocks. I just think it's too risky. It's too hard unless you know the industry itself, or like are actually in that industry and work in it. So I like to pick out more established, more innovative companies that have been around for a while, so you can kind of see their track record. Kind of like, I kind of like looking at the third or fourth year player versus the rookie. I guess that's kind of what my analogy would be. You don't really want to get the 15-year veteran, because they're on the downside of like, they're already topped out, quote unquote. And of course, these are pretty like blue chip type stocks. However, if NFTs are still a thing, Michael Baker, there may be an opportunity for these companies to hit that growth segment, quote unquote, with because companies always are like, you have like Nike obviously has like their shoes. That's their main breadwinner, right? And clothing, what have you. But if they can say get 5 to 10% revenues from NFTs that they put out, that's another growth segment for the company that can add $5, $6, $7 to the share price of the company. So first off, I'll start with Nike real quick. As far as big clothing goes about, and kind of that space of collaboration, and because NFTs are kind of like a new thing for like, I guess I don't want to say like kids, but like just new investors, I'll just call them. They're exciting, they're fun. And as far as collaboration goes, like Nike's up there with, I mean, I think they're the top collaborator when it comes to like a brand. Like if someone says, oh, there's a Nike collab, 9 times out of 10, collectors, just fans of the brand are going to gravitate towards that particular product that Nike's putting out. Brad, have you ever been a part of a Nike collaboration, or just like a new project that they've been into that maybe we talk about in the Discord and all that good stuff?
When y'all talk about it in the people who don't know that it's like a message board that we're involved in, where we share investment things and collectibles and that kind of stuff. And it could be anything from comics, sports cards, shoes. There's like a lot of really big time shoe guys in there. I never felt cool enough to really, I enjoy reading the shoe section, but I never felt cool enough to, I'm like, everything I see, I feel like I could never pull it off.
Yeah.
So like, just but it's neat to see it,
Sure.
but I'm such a clean cut, polo shirt wearing guy. I don't know if I can pull off the some of those cool
Some of those
shoes that
looks.
everybody shares in those things.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's just more like a kind of ode to like when I was younger, right? And I guess like I always think of coming home, dressing down in my sweats and like wearing a pair of sneakers. But yeah, I'm kind of like you. I'm not a huge sneakerhead, which is probably a good thing because they're pretty expensive. But with Nike, they're all about exclusivity, and or a huge segment of their market is exclusivity, right? So what Nike's trying to launch is this Nike NFT site. It's called Nike Swoosh. I'm not going to highlight it yet because again, I want to get into Brad's segment, but essentially you can buy an NFT of like a non-fungible token of a shoebox, and that shoebox gets you access to certain other NFTs that you can pair up and merge and potentially buy a poster or a shoe that's exclusive only to those NFT holders. And so it just kind of again culminates this whole exclusivity. Only I can get this because I have an NFT with Nike. And I really think if they get this website going and start to sell these fungible tokens for like $20 times 80,000, for example, or just 8,000, that's a huge revenue stream. And it's kind of like the NFT holder is also benefiting from buying that NFT for the long term. Because again, if it does become a thing, then that original NFT can give you access to other things, and then that NFT will be worth money as well down the road. That's kind of the whole concept of it. So as of right now, it's really NFTs are very much in their infancy because of like, I mean, let's just get down to it. People just don't trust it as a real asset or thing that will actually work, a mechanism or whatever you want to call it. So I think and I think also with the onset of like what Michael's kind of hitting here, did the closure of the Nike's flagship store in Portland tank the stock at all? I don't think so. I work in real estate, or I don't work in real estate, but I work in mortgages, right? So a lot of times those commercial, like those downtown commercial properties, right? They're essentially an advertisement. They don't generate a lot of actual net revenue or net income, I should say. They generate tons of revenue. However, the actual income they're getting from those stores doesn't really do anything to the company's like bottom line. They're going to make more money to say we have a presence in downtown and we're one of the top stores to go to when you go downtown of any city, right? I think you're going to see more closures of Nike stores, except for like an outlets, just because of the cost of commercial real estate and just the departure from major cities. We closed the one here in Seattle, and it was kind of the writing was on the wall. I mean, the rent for that place is just like, it's pretty ridiculous, and the cost to keep that going, as well as the work from home kind of lifestyle. People are only shopping there 2 or 3 times a week versus this full 7. Do you guys have a Nike store around you guys in South
I
Carolina?
think the only one I've seen was like an outlet store, like a
Okay.
Nike outlet, but not a physical store. And I would think, I mean, with the cost of having a brick and mortar store,
Yeah.
you could put that. I mean, now you don't need that. There was a time when those opened that, I mean, people shopped in stores. Now, I mean, we talk all the time on the Discord about, hey, this is dropping tomorrow, and you gotta, like be online. And I mean, all their big revenue has to come from shipping, shipping from a warehouse, as opposed to like people walking and standing in line
Mm-hmm.
and waiting to, have those the product show up in the store.
Right. Yeah. I think you're 100% right. I mean, it's just like, with video games, right? Like companies are trying to go more digital for their product. And you don't have to hire as many physical people to sell that product, unless you're doing like, retail, like at a what do you call it, an outlet store or like a vacation spot, something like that. But yeah, I think Nike's kind of realizing that, and they're like, oh shoot, we need to kind of collaborate with these other companies and start doing this. So anyway, so yeah, just take a look, just keep an eye on Nike. You know, if you're interested in NFT stocks and you really want to get into that, Nike's what probably my number one for right now, because I feel like they have something that if they get it off the ground, it's just the other parts segments of their company are going to follow suit, and it's just giving me another growth driver for the company.
Well, it seems like they've tied it to something tangible, which eliminates that fear with people. If if you buy one and it's associated with something physical, even exclusivity of a membership that offers you, that exclusivity would really weigh. I would grade having that much higher than just because most people think an NFT is like, well, I could walk around with a picture of Jordan ones and on my phone, and that's no different than owning but if it's NFT. Tied to some something exclusive, people want to be a part of something exclusive,
especially
if they're tying it to that. I mean, that's that I know of. I mean, it doesn't, they're a big company and they're trying to do that. I think they're onto something with that.
Yeah, and I hope it works out for them, because it's very exciting. I think for it could bring in new customers into the company as well, which is really weird to think about with Nike being worth 10 to 15 billion. Next up, we have DraftKings. I don't gamble like that much, but DraftKings doesn't really have to do with the gambling part. But we could see NFTs kind of you get access to like maybe like a Vegas suite or something. But what they're really trying to get into is the collector's market of NFTs. So they're trying to sell like UFC, licensed type products like wrestling. I want to say a little bit of baseball here and there. I know it's kind of tough because you have to. It's kind of like they're trying to basically be the Bowman or Topps for NFTs, and they have a strong brand because everyone knows DraftKings. I think that's in kind of sports. If you don't know DraftKings is an app or website you can go to and gamble, basically bet on sports. I don't know about the legality of it, but we're not really talking about the gambling portion of DraftKings. Again, this is a company that's primarily in gambling. However, they're trying to make inroads in NFTs because they see the potential in it. And I think another thing I want to point out with these companies is if NFTs don't work out, this isn't like, oh, shoot, the company's over. So it's like, if you're wrong on the NFT part about investing in these companies, you still have the fallback of the actual company doing well in what they already do. And I think that's also what you want to look out for in companies is like, okay, they have their established kind of like products or their services, but what are they doing to like grow their suite of products? And I think these three, in regards to NFTs, very good examples of that. So, Brad, do you guys do you know anybody that uses DraftKings, or like, did you even know that DraftKings is kind of going into the space?
I did not know they were doing that, but yeah, I know plenty of people who they'll bet small amounts on things, and a lot of times it's prop bets, like it could be, I don't know if they actually do it, but it could be something like how long the national anthem at the Super Bowl is going to last and stuff, but it's small bets like that, not necessarily on the game. But yeah, there's a lot of people who will throw, $50, because I think they actually give you money to sign up.
Yeah.
To kind of start off with. I'm not a gambler either. I barely like doing like the comic lottery stuff, raffles and stuff, because I'm like, I just feel like I never win anything. So
yeah, I left one of those Discord groups, just FYI. But anyway, I only do when I'm in Vegas because, like, I don't know, Vegas just makes you want to like gamble, and it's kind of that excitement. But
what do you play when you're in Vegas?
So my wife really likes there's like these little ponies that are like in this encased like plastic thing, and you basically just bet on one, and there's odds for like each one, and they're like little plastic toys, and you bet and they go around, whoever wins, like whatever. One time she hit like, I think like a 7-1, and she bet like 50 cents, and that was very exciting, and now she's like addicted. So yeah. But no, we do that, and then we do like just slots, just kind of like easy stuff. I don't like the table games as much anymore because I don't know. And craps, like I did really well my first time, and it just stresses me out too much, man. So I try not to do that too much. But fantasy football is just like the devil. Yeah, and fantasy football, DraftKings, I did not mention that part as well. So I think DraftKings also, like, just kind of FYI, aside from NFTs, they try a lot of different things, and it sounds kind of risky, right? Because it's gambling, but it's almost like they're like kind of the win of online betting companies. What I mean by that is they're first to market, they have brand recognition, and they're very innovative. So if you just want a company to look at, DraftKings I think is an interesting stock to look at for the near future. Mattel, I'm sure you all know what Mattel does. With Barbie just coming out, that was a pretty big thing. But much like Nike, I don't know if anyone's ever gone on the Mattel website, but it's really catered to like our age group. Like honestly, like I swear, like 40 and up is like Mattel's like segment that they're trying to garner to. The reason I say that is they're putting out a lot of collaboration type of products. So they have Hasbro Plus, right? Hasbro's. Sorry, I'm thinking something else. Anyway, Mattel, they're being very innovative in regards to their offerings of potential products and their NFT suites and the potential to use NFTs to market their products, a lot like how Nike is doing, exclusive type products that you can only buy if you have, an NFT associated with that product. Very similar, but the brands that this company has, let's just look into it real quick. Here, give me a second.
I like that you mentioned. So this is really intriguing because, like exactly like you said, they're thinking. You always have to be thinking of what the potential next thing could be.
Yeah.
And all of these companies, if it does, like exactly like you said, if it doesn't work, then you've still got the core business to fall back on.
Right. And I mean, you're exactly right. And I mean, they're generating excitement for their products. I mean, there's not a Mattel store you can go to, but you can go to this website and like, look at this. They're launching this NFT garage type thing. I feel like Marcus right now, he's probably not watching, but I feel like Marcus kind of pitching like NFTs to people, right? But this garners excitement for the product. These NFTs you can buy, and then you can either exchange or wait to like exchange for a potential actual Hot Wheel, toke or actual an actual car. And they got Fast and the Furious. I mean, stuff like that. So, I mean, very innovative. And again, like, Barbie just came out. There's a lot of, attention towards that brand. So again, it's like, I mean, forget guy collectors. What about female collectors that are, they're now 26 or in their 30s and they're like, oh, I wish I had a Malibu Barbie when I was a kid. I went and saw the Barbie movie with my daughter. Now I get that nostalgia feeling, and now I want to buy, I don't know, this Mattel NFT for Barbie, just for the heck of it. And it just garners more, it just brings more, a focus to the company and the products. It's just a really easy, way to do it with NFTs. And then again, like I'm going to say this again, just be ad nauseum, but if this doesn't work out, at least you're able to bring some set of eyes to the company, and you're kind of first to market, and you have the cash to kind of burn to invest in this segment that is so new and fresh, and their possibilities are really infinite if they can do it correctly. Now, I think of like this whole NFT, crypto, a little bit like kind of segment of the economy, right? And I kind of attribute it to the .com rally, right? Well, there is a million different companies that came to market. I may have talked about this before, but homegrocer.com, for example, the idea was you could buy your groceries and have them delivered to you, right? On this website. Well, it didn't work 25 years ago, but now I can buy, I can go on my phone, buy cat food for my cats, and have it delivered in 4 hours. And Uber does that, or Postmates, whomever. So even if it doesn't work the first time, it may it doesn't mean it's never going to work. It's just that the technology or the market just wasn't ready for that. And so again, that's kind of why I picked these companies, because NFTs may not be a normal thing like now, and those NFTs may go from 10,000 to $10. However, in 5 years, one of these companies may come out and say, hey, remember us 5 years ago when you bought an NFT with us for the first time? Well, that NFT now is still working, and now NFTs are a normal thing, where you can use your phone and like just, use your phone NFT to get 15% off the Mattel website because you're a card holder. Anyway, so any questions or any comments?
I just think that's interesting. I mean, every company should at least be thinking like these companies, be progressive. But as a kid, that G.I. Joe was like big for me too, Michael Baker. But you have to be not necessarily in regard to NFTs, but your company should be thinking about, hey, what's happening and how can we be a part of what's happening? Mm-hmm. And, just be progressive. I mean, the companies that don't grow are the ones that, Blockbuster waited way too long to, make a move. Netflix wanted Blockbuster to buy them. Yeah. And they laughed, and they got buried. Yeah. They tried to get on the train like way too late. And you just have to be progressive and not bet the house on it, but at least throw around some ideas on how you can, are we becoming archaic? Are we dinosaurs in our industry? And if so, how can we improve on that? So I really like these three companies. That was cool.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate your comments, and let's keep going on with the show. So next up, West Coast real estate. So I picked a little middle ground number, or I guess you did this time. So I went with a $900,000 house in Bellingham. Now, Bellingham is about 1.5 hours north of Seattle. It's about a half hour to 45 minutes away from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. You know what British Columbia is. And so it's a very well-to-do area. There's a college there, and it's the definition of tree hugger is Bellingham. So if you like the outdoors and you want a lot of land to live on, this little beauty, about 1.5 hours north of Seattle, this 3-bedroom, 3-bath, went for $900K. It looks pretty simple, but I mean, you got the green trees in the background.
I was going to say that almost looks photoshopped. There's so many trees.
It's real, man. I mean, that's the Pacific Northwest in a nutshell. Wow. Very, very, very green. If you are allergic to anything like me, this is not a good place for you to live. But I have a little bit of stuffy nose today. So anyway, what do you think of this house?
Bigger than 3 bedrooms, 3 baths. Just with all the windows and stuff, it just looks bigger.
Yeah, I was shocked too. $900K seems pretty solid as far as price is concerned. But it's on a pretty big lot, and I think the living areas are very big. But this would go to like either a professor or like a family that just loves the outdoors. This is the kind of house for them. So anyway, and what you got? Wow, what do you got for us here?
Yeah, it's really, I chose this because it's different from everything I've shown, because everything I show has that southern, like what you've even commented, like that's when I imagine a southern house. Basically everything I've shown looks, it's got the front porch with rocking chairs and that, a porch swing or that kind of stuff. So I said, well, I'm going to really shift gears here and share something that's way different. It looks like this could be Miami, or, it could be anywhere else. But yeah, this is downtown Columbia, 5 bedrooms, 4 baths, 4,500 square feet. It's built in 1939.
Wow.
On the right there, you'll notice the glass block windows, which I
Yeah.
think is really cool. That thick glass. I thought that was kind of neat. It's got a 3-car attached garage. It's on almost an acre, so 0.8. The cool thing, listed on the National Register of Historic Places. So that's kind of an interesting selling point. And at Christmas time, on that balcony, excuse me, the balcony upstairs, they have these robots that they push out on the balcony. It's just like these big statues, and they dress them like Santa Claus, and it's always every year. This house has been owned a couple of times since I've been familiar with it. And every time I guess the robots come with the house or something, but
it's the robots come with the house.
Yeah, it's wild. Like on either side of the door, there's a robot standing against the rail. It looks like Rosie from the Jetsons or something. Yes, Danielle, Forest Acres. You know where I'm talking about. It's very noticeable when you drive by, because it's almost you're almost getting a wreck when you ride by, because you're turning your head and looking. But that's exactly where it is, Forest Acres.
This reminds me, you said Miami. I was like, yeah, this is Scarface type movie. Yeah, I like the balcony at the top. I've always liked that idea of. I think my fraternity was set up that way. We put a deck in the above the entrance, and I felt like I've always wanted that. Like, hey, come on in from the top of the house. That's what really stands out to me in this slide here. So. Really cool.
That's a great place to hang out too. It's a neat house. So yes, shifting gears from the Southern style to something totally different.
I like it. All right. So your tip of the day here. So one thing I totally forgot to mention for our 3 listeners today. There was a pretty big announcement, or I guess non-announcement today. The Fed came out and stated that he did not see a reason to raise prime rate. However, he did warn that there is potential that they could raise rates not only once, but twice this year. So it got me thinking, okay, the market reacted negatively, obviously, right? Rightfully so. But I was watching CNBC, and Jeffrey Gundlach, who he's a very famous investor, hedge fund manager, and he had mentioned, alternatives to invest into, with the possibility that equities are not going to do so well. But he mentioned bonds, and it's all about beating inflation when you're investing, right? Inflation, if inflation's at 3%, it doesn't matter if inflation's at 3%, if you're beating the market by 6 or beating inflation by 6%, you're always going to be ahead of it, right? That's always the goal when you're investing. But he mentioned treasuries and commercial, commercial debt being around 8 to 9% for a 2 or 3 year bond. And I thought that was pretty intriguing, because he also mentioned this. He mentioned that last year, about a year ago, that bonds were overpriced by twice as much as equities were. So essentially, that's flipped. Now, equities are 2 times more overpriced than bonds. So he mentioned a score of 4, basically, is what bonds now are underpriced versus equities. So it's a buying opportunity that he believes that past this year, the Fed could lower rates, by 0.25. And if that's true, then, there's a possibility that you're ahead of the game and the curve, and if you're going to get 8 to 9% return on bonds versus, equities possibly going down with the broader economy going down as well. it's a good idea to do that. So anyway, I just thought, if you have a savings account still that's getting 0.5%, it may be a good opportunity to look into some treasuries or CDs that are paying 4.5, 5, 8% when inflation's not even at its 2% target yet. Hope I'm not like talking like jargon that no one gets in the chat, but if you are going to take anything away from this show for me today, is that get ahead of inflation by looking into where your money's not beating inflation and where you could possibly at least match inflation or beat it by 2 to 3%. So just a little bit small advice for you guys out there. And
that gives you an opportunity to still invest, but you want your money working for you.
And to be safe too, right? So it's a little more safer in treasuries. All right, Brad, what you got?
Right. Yeah, so I got a couple of news things I wanted to talk about. So a report out today by First Street Foundation, a nonprofit that analyzes climate risk. Now, I brought this up because we've mentioned it in the Discord and on this show. People have mentioned the difficulties in Florida with hurricanes and that kind of stuff, and the difficulty with insurance and insuring those properties because of the risk. So a nonprofit that analyzes climate risk warns that national real estate market has not adequately priced the cost of climate into its valuation, and a growing climate bubble that is similar to past bubbles in the real estate market is just starting to be recognized. So what's happening? Regulators seeking to keep property insurance affordable have artificially suppressed rates that insurance companies are allowed to charge, the report says. So they're saying that you have to consider that with in the valuation of the property, is the fact that the insurance is going to cost X amount. So perhaps the price or the value of the real estate maybe has been suppressed a little bit, and they need to do something to compensate for that. So
wow, that's kind of scary.
Yeah. Will bonds be locked in at a certain time frame?
Yeah, I kind of answered your question. I didn't want to interrupt you. Sorry.
No, so that's cool.
I mean, basically, like if you have a financial advisor, just basically tell them like, hey, I was watching this amazing show on YouTube. Sorry, I was laughing. And the guy, the really good-looking guy in the sweatshirt, had mentioned that, these either inflationary bonds or even like the 2-year bond that's paying 5.5 to 6%. It's a treasury bond. So the only way that you don't get paid is if the United States government fails. If the U.S. government fails, you got a lot more things to kind of worry about. But all that debt ceiling stuff and like whatever, I mean, that's kind of like out of like our control, right? But the only thing you can control is, I mean, if you have a savings account, right? This is kind of my point. If you have a savings account that's paying 0.5%, move it. Move it to a CD that for like 6 or 9 months that pays 5.5 to 6%. That's guaranteed, right? Because it's probably most likely under 250,000. So it's guaranteed by the FDIC as well. So I know that's a great question. It just really depends on what your time frame is, and the shorter it is, you're not going to get paid as much. However, if it's sitting in like savings, I mean, like just put it into a 2 to 3 year, treasury bond, and you'll get that 8 to 9% is what I'll see. So anyway, go ahead.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for the question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought this was interesting based on a lot of the stuff we've talked about here. So meet Maya, an AI real estate expert launched by celebrity agent Frederick Eklund. Eklund, along with his business partner, John Gomez of Douglas Elliman's Eklund Gomez team, is also debuting sales of yachts and jets alongside its new Chat GPT powered interface for property. So, yeah, I just thought that was kind of interesting based on we're kind of starting to see AI come into play. I actually tried it this week. writing a script. You basically determine what the what the criteria are for a script that you could where you could draft an email or send a letter to people who want to sell or might be looking to sell, and the AI wrote the script that you would send them. So it's kind of interesting.
That's very cool.
And then what's turning homeowners into sellers? Getting back to the office. So a couple of points here. Housing starts fell to the lowest level since June of 2020, with a slowdown happening across single family and multifamily construction. Permits rose, however, a sign that builders want to be ready if conditions change. So they're cautiously building somewhat because they don't want to get left holding the bag. A lot of builders around here, when the market crashed in 2008, they for years rented their inventory.
Yeah.
They became landlords.
Yeah.
So they had to rent the inventory. So that was, I don't know that they want to get into that, but builder confidence dipped for a second month due to the expectation that 7% mortgage rates will keep buyers on the sidelines. Now, here I'm seeing there are some large builders who, if they own their own finance company, if they own their own mortgage company, they're able to offer some incentives because they're getting all of their own business. So they're able to offer some incentives. And you had mentioned that it's really difficult to compete against that as a mortgage lender.
Sure.
Kind of difficult to compete against that. So I think that's a way they can offset that. But just a headline that I saw that I wanted to share.
Yeah, it's a frustrating thing. I guess the only caveat I have out of it is that it's kind of like I don't have to wait to compete. I just tell the people just take it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
All right. So trending home features. So these are my 5 favorite things. So these are things that I see in houses now that I make a mental note of, that I like, and I start seeing it more and more. And these are just some cool ideas that you might want to, we talk a lot about, real estate in general or mortgages in general and that kind of stuff. So we're just kind of trying to broaden what we discuss here. So if you haven't looked at remodeling or haven't looked at buying a home, these are some things that I see. I'm in the field every week, a lot. So I'm just passing along what I see, and maybe this, some of these things might be something you want to implement yourself.
Cool.
And I did it. This is we're like countdown style. So these aren't necessarily in order, but we'll number 5, hardy plank siding. Are you familiar with what that is?
So I know hardy plank or hardy boards for like bathrooms, but and I'm a little familiar with this, but it looks really cool.
Yeah, so this is actually siding. So instead of vinyl siding, this is hardy plank. So it's a composite board that they make to look like wood.
Okay.
It's a lot more durable and has a longer life than traditional wood, but just a couple of key points here. So it's primed. So you could walk into Home Depot right now and buy this if you wanted to side your house with this material, or side maybe even a shed or something that was built in the backyard that needs to be resided. You could do this. So they have a primed version of this, but primed fiber cement. You can see it's a lap siding, so it overlaps. The above one overlaps the one below it. Ready for exterior acrylic paint, so you can paint it whatever color you want to. Durable house siding plank. Features that soft wood finish, like that grain finish there, which I really like. They also make a smooth that I don't like as much. I like the character of that texture. Made of cement, sand, and cellulose fibers, which combine to create an outstanding material to both protect and beautify homes. Next to brick, I think this is my favorite siding type. And they're doing it on a lot of houses. If you may have to touch up the paint. There's even did a walkthrough on yesterday. We were told by the builder, this is a new construction home, told by the builder that they actually have I think it's a 10-year fade guarantee on this product. So once it is painted, you don't have to paint it for 10 years. You may have to maintain it after that, but that's good to hear when it's, sunny and 100 degrees in the summer here, that the sun isn't going to fade your siding.
Yeah.
But it's just a really nice looking product. They're doing it on all the houses in this particular neighborhood. So you go to Home Depot, you can get a plank anywhere from $10 to $20. The price per plank comes down as if you were to buy in bulk. Home Depot showed that price does go down as you buy in bulk for this product, but it's really nice looking. It's supposed to last like 80 years. In general, just keep it maintained, keep it painted.
Yeah.
And it's a really, really nice looking product on a house.
So this is kind of a dumb question, but
there are no dumb questions.
There are no dumb questions, right? So let's say you have like 2 or 3 rotting planks, but the other 5 are okay. You basically just replace it like you would replace anything else or any other siding, correct?
Yeah, you're saying, so if you got this and there was something went bad with it?
Oh no, I'm sorry. Like you just need to replace like some old siding. You basically, this is just a replacement, essentially, right?
Yeah. So I'll tell you. Here's a trick. So this is bonus. This is a bonus tip.
Okay.
If you have, let's say you have vinyl siding on your house, and there's a piece that got hit by a limb or the lawnmower kicked up a rock or something and cracked the siding, there you will see a variation in the shade of the siding. So let's say this happens on the back of or on the side of your house or something. You want to put the new siding in a place that's inconspicuous. So you might want to move a piece from somewhere else. So say the front got broken, a front piece, couple pieces got broken, I would say replace a piece on the back, move it to the front, and then put the new piece on the back, because it's going to be a different shade. It's going to be a different color. So, but just to maintain the consistency of the siding, replace that. If it's in a noticeable area, move the siding around from another side to the just so it won't affect curb appeal, and put the new stuff on the back somewhere. And nobody really sees the back of your house all that often. So
right
here with Michael Baker. So if you're keeping score, pools and solar panels 0, siding 1. Yes. And what I have some other things. I think we're missing a thing or two in there, Michael Baker. But yes, I'm I appreciate you keeping the running tally for us. But I would replace it with an existing piece and just put the new stuff on the back so it's not as noticeable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I like it. No, I've heard of it, but I didn't actually I didn't look past it because our siding's okay, but it's a pretty old house, so this might be an option for me later down the road.
Well, it would give it new life too. That's right. The other thing I like about it. So the other thing that they're doing in pretty much every room in every new construction house I walk into is luxury vinyl plank, or LVP as it is called. So luxury vinyl flooring interlocks. It creates a waterproof seal, and the photo does a really good job of I really like the color scheme on that. It's kind of like a grayish color, and you can see the white cabinets in the kitchen in the background. Really looks nice.
Yeah.
Life Proof is a brand. They offer maximum scratch and stain resistance. So if you have pets, LVP is great for big dogs with not that they're not necessarily clawing your floor, but sometimes you get a 80-pound dog with thick nails.
Yeah.
A hardwood floor, it will absolutely leave scratches in. This is you could take a knife and gouge this stuff. It's not indestructible, but just normal wear or dogs walking on it, it's not gonna mess anything up. I didn't realize it's also microbial flooring, so resist the growth of mold and mildew.
Mm-hmm.
So if you spill something, it's easy to clean up. You don't have to worry. Carpet, you just never know what's
It's under it.
yeah,
Can't wait for
what's in
that.
there.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can vacuum and maybe it doesn't get all the stuff up. This is just really easy to maintain. A case that covers about 20 square feet is around $60 at Home Depot. So yeah, it's a really good alternative. It's great looks great in bedrooms, looks great in the kitchen. It's just a nice all around durable flooring that again, in the photo, you can tell it kind of has looks like wood, hardwood flooring or something, but very, very durable. All right, number 3, shaker cabinets. I love shaker cabinets. So if you're not sure what that is, the photo, it's that trim around the cabinet. It takes a plain cabinet and really gives it a little dimension and pop. They're putting them in all the new construction houses. On this particular one, the white cabinet look great with that subway backsplash tile and the stainless appliances. It really looks good, but it just gives it a little more. Cabinets with just a flat front door are fine, but it just gives it a little more dimension and I think really classes it up a bit. And it's kind of an older style, but it looks really good, modernized like this with the I'm assuming that's granite countertops and everything. A 2 cabinet section that's basically 30 by 30 is about $194 at your local Home Depot. But there is a trick if you don't want to go in and bust out all of your cabinets and replace it with brand new cabinets. You can have cabinet doors, shaker cabinet doors made, and put those on over your existing cabinets and freshen the whole thing up that way. And that's maybe a cheaper way to get the same look is just have new cabinet doors made. And put those up. They come without without like the handles, and you can put on whatever handle. I kind of like these longer handles that they have in this example, but they come without handles because people are going to use whatever whatever handle that they like. Some like knobs, some like stuff like this. So this looks really nice and clean. So this is interesting. So using that same style with the shaker cabinets, I've seen a lot of this like multicolored cabinets, particularly in the kitchen, where maybe the island is a different color from the rest of the room. So you see, this is either a white or a maybe like a light gray cabinet in the kitchen, but they've done the island in this like midnight blue, this navy blue that really I think looks great. It takes a little getting used to because you're used to everything being the same, but I think it adds like a really nice pop to it and kind of just I don't know, just kind of in that. And I like this photo illustrating it because it really just really gives it a nice clean look, very modern look.
I want to ask you a question on this. So
yeah, go ahead.
I just messaged my wife to see if she is watching, and she hasn't responded, so I'm very disappointed in her. But anyway, that look where there's like open cabinets on the side as well. Is that I've never seen that before. Is that something you see kind of in newer homes that you go into?
I don't see the open all that much. I can't tell if it is. I get it's almost like it's a shelf as opposed to like a cabinet. Although it looks like there's handles or something.
Yeah. I was gonna say like you shut it, like are there shutter?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it looks like there's some kind of handle there, but I don't know. That is unique. Now I've seen it where if you have a wide storage area like that, you can actually
Mhm.
access that space on both sides. So the side isn't open, but this has doors on both side of the cabinet. So if you put stuff, pots and pans and stuff in there, you can get to it from either side. I have seen that, but yeah, I haven't seen that either. I thought that was kind of interesting. I also saw like the some of the shaker cabinets, the bookend cabinets on. If you have a row of cabinets for your kitchen, the bookends have glass fronts instead of. So you've got the shaker like the trim that goes around, and then the center of that is actually glass. So you might have like nice stemware or wine glasses or something like that in there. That's kind of a neat look too. But yeah, I actually had some folks who bought a house about 2.5, almost 3 years ago, and that's where I first saw this done. Was they had white cabinets in
Very
the
cool.
entire house, and the island was this midnight blue, and it was like it kind of catches you by surprise the first time you see it. But I think it looks great, and of course they've also looks like they've got LVP on the floor in the kitchen there too, and it just that really with the pendulum lights there over the island, it really looks nice.
It's really, I like that look a lot. I'm actually stealing that from the show.
Do you have an island in your kitchen?
We do. So this kitchen, I mean, the kitchen has been remodeled since 1992. So we're not going to gut the whole house. We just don't got the time or dough for that. But I think we're going to slowly kind of do things like small deal, and then like, big one, small deal. But so we just have to figure out like what exactly we want to do to the kitchen. And I want it a little more open. And if we do make it more open, I think we can add a couple more inches to the island. But the island itself, it's not connected to a sink. It's connected to the stove. So the setup is like kind of like a bar, right? So like the three kids would eat at the bar, and then like the food's made or whatever. So it's like in front of you. So it's a little like this. It's kind of reversed, right? Because you have the sink is right there, and then the table or whatever. But in this setup, the stove is on the wall, and that's basically where the kitchen is, or the kitchen, the sink is. It's a little different, but I like that setup anyway. But I really like the previous slide with that navy. Jesus Christ,
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah.
So this number one on my list, just to shake it up a little bit, because granite is great. I like granite countertops.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to see it whether the house is $1 million house or it's a $200,000 house. They typically all have granite. So I was like, how can you kind of set yourself apart a little bit and do something different? So in this, I don't love that. I think that blue would actually look better instead of like Carolina blue. It would look better if it were navy again, just to give it a little more depth. But this is an example of quartz countertops. It really looks modern, and it's just a nice change up from the granite. And then this, Michael, that's I really like the style of that. It just gives it a little pop. Remodeled our kitchen 2 years ago. Best money we've spent since we bought the house. That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. The swatch there under the type, that's one that I saw that I liked. It's actually got like a little cranberry speckle in it, so it's a little bit of like a deep red speckle here and there. So it's just something different from the typical granite that you see. But granite's just, it's something everybody expects, whether it's again $1 million house or a less expensive house. I've seen homes that people got these investment companies will come in and flip a house that they buy for $100,000, and they'll put granite in it. And it's just to me kind of cheapens the product a little bit. Looks great, but it just kind of cheapens it, especially if you've got a higher end house, maybe look at quartz instead, just to see. There's some really interesting designs there. Yeah, I thought you'd like that, Michael.
Carolina blue
fan there. So yeah, that's just 5 things that I thought would that I thought that we could share, and I was actually jotting down my list of my next 5 for the next podcast. So I'll have some. I think we'll keep doing this for the future, and share that as my segment. So
That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed for me that blue the countertop with the blue on the ends. It just made me kind of think. Our house is now Napoleon blue is the color we chose, and with like white. It's really basic, but the interior I just really haven't thought of colors. I kind of leave that to wifey there. But no, it was a great segment, man. I really enjoyed it.
well, for the past 2 weeks, and I actually forgot to update the quote, but this is a good quote to remember. Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. So it's I think a lot of the stuff that you talk about as in your segment, this is a good quote to just be thinking about. Your life goes by fast, and the things that we do early on, we end up having a benefit down the road. That's a good question. I don't think it's drastically different. But I'll check on that for you, Danielle, and hit you up on Facebook and let you know. But it's just something different. It looks really modern and clean. And I've seen that. I've been in real estate for 10 years, and it's just, we can't get away from granite for whatever reason. So it's nice to see something different. So between this week and last week, you've got at least a couple of ideas you may implement for your in your remodel. So that's good.
Yeah. Right now, like I said, we just got done doing the roof. So some stuff that you have to basically do to get things going. And it's a good thing we did. So I was really hesitant on wanting to do the roof because it's like one of those things that you don't get to see the roof really unless you're walking by and, that kind of, we have a split level home. So, but the before and after pictures were amazing. There were some boards that were actually broken. I don't know if a tree fell on it or what, but there were no leaks, which was good. But if it snows here, and it doesn't, when it snows here, it's not really stressful. It doesn't snow a lot, but I think with that said, when it does snow a lot, we're not used to it. So, it's snowed the past 2 years here. So getting some new support there and some new wood, and, we got a 15 to 20 year roof on there. We may be here 8 to 10 years. I don't know. So, just with that knowledge, I think it was a good investment for us. So we'll reap the rewards hopefully later down the road. But, now
it's just that peace of mind, peace of mind of having
exactly.
It's a big ticket thing. I tell folks when we look at houses, you look at the HVAC, your heating and cooling system, your roof, and here, which you guys don't have to deal with, but termites. That's a thing here that we have to deal with just because of the climate. So
yeah,
those 3 things I always get inspected to make sure there's not anything. And you'd be surprised, even on new construction houses where they're cranking these houses out. So you don't know how, they're trying to knock this out because they've got one next door that they've got to work on as well.
Yeah.
And you might see stray nails or cracked shingles or, whatever the case may be. So it's important to have that big ticket stuff taken care of before it's not the sexy thing to spend money on for sure.
Yeah.
But what's up, Brian LCS?
And they're not the cheapest things, so
how big is your house?
2,400 square feet.
Okay. I had someone who the thing always, I had a buyer, we target, as much as I talk about how difficult it is for buyers here, I have talked about the importance of targeting, maybe you target something that's been reduced in price where maybe we can get some extra things. And we were able to with this client. And But then when we got to inspection time, I said, all right, it said the property disclosure. So every house in South Carolina, every house that's sold is supposed to have a property disclosure unless it was
Right.
a um, unless it was a like basically a parent passed away and left it to a kid that or their son or daughter, then obviously they weren't living there, so they were not responsible for doing one. But even if you do for sale by owner, they're supposed to have a property disclosure, and this one had our average granite cost from 80 to 180. Quartz can vary from 50 to 200. Okay, so
I like the quartz actually a lot better than the granite, personally. So
yeah,
when
have you
you
looked at it or like seen it anywhere?
no, I mean personally, like I haven't. We're not at that. Like we'll probably do the kitchen last because it's gonna require permits, all that type of stuff. I want to start from the bottom and work my way up because I'm more concerned with like moisture and like, it's gonna be December soon, so I'm just worried about that type of stuff. And I can do it on my own. I have confidence I can do on my own, but we'll see.
Hey,
So
after
yeah.
tackling a shower, I'm not going to bet against you. After you did a shower, I'm not, because I told you last time I would not try to tackle that on my own. I'm too scared to do that. But
I'm sure it'll fall
you did
apart
it.
in 4 years, but we'll see. I'm just kidding, but yeah. So right now I'm dumbing it down the project next. I mean, I'm just doing the back door, not sanding it down, but well, you'll see I don't know if you'll catch the short video that I posted on the channel. I'll try and do like some more DIY stuff on the channel so people can see, give ideas and all that good stuff. But yeah. Anyway, so
Yeah. Well, this guy bought a 1,500 square foot house, and they said the roof was, well, it was at the end of its life. They were pretty sure, and so
yeah.
I said, well, let's have it inspected by a roofing company,
Mhm.
and we did, and they estimated that the remaining life on the roof was 0 to 1 years.
Oh, geez.
So it's
Yeah, you
like,
gotta get that
okay,
fixed.
we need to, I hate to do this, but we need to ask them to replace, pay to have the roof replaced.
Yeah, and they can't sell
So
that. There, no one's gonna finance that house if the roof's,
that's that's right.
if
Yeah,
the roofing
that's
company says like it's a no go, then no mortgage company is gonna finance that either. So yeah.
yeah. He actually had to get insurance through a different company because we weren't having the roof done before closing.
Oh.
We had scheduled it, and this
Mhm.
is another little trick you can do. We scheduled the roof replacement and sent that work order to the closing attorney and the lender. And basically, the idea was, well, the seller doesn't have money to pay for a roof out of pocket, but they could possibly be willing to do it out of the proceeds at closing. So we set it up that way, proposed it that way, and hey, we'll just take care of it after it closes. My client did have to shift gears a little bit and switch. The lender was fine with it, but the insurance company did not want to give home insurance for that. So
Mhm.
he found somebody who would do it, and we were good. But for a 1,500 square foot house, it was $7,500, which I thought was very reasonable. Like I was surprised that was. Does that say what does that number sound like to you for that? Does that sound
Well, no,
good or bad?
I'm sorry. I'm no. That's actually really good.
Yeah,
We got a couple bids on our house, and it was like 20 to 15. We ended up, I forgot what we went with, but anyway, but it wasn't 7,500. But yeah, we had 1,000 square more feet too, so I guess that makes
yeah, and
sense.
you could have more if yours is a multi-level. Then
Split level,
you've
yeah.
probably got some variation on the roof. This was pretty. It was a rectangle box that needed a new roof. So we went to them with the quote, and that kind of helped sell it because most people, I think, if you say how much is a roof, you think, I don't know, 15,000. You automatically think it's going to be this crazy amount. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's good. You're doing all the not fun stuff now, and then come spring, you can
Yeah.
really start chipping away at the fun stuff.
Right. Well, cool. Well, great segment as always, Brad. And I hope you enjoyed just what we had to talk about this week. Yeah, some pretty somber news out of the Fed today. We'll see how that affects everything in the next couple months going forward, and we'll definitely talk about that for everyone. Yeah, so I guess we'll see you guys all next week, next Wednesday. You'll be looking at a new homeowner by that time. So yeah, I'll thanks again, everyone, for coming through.
Yeah,
And
thank you guys.
great questions, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Y'all have a great rest of your week.